Hare Krishna. Please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. Never miss any updates.
हरे कृष्ण। नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नितिनामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So welcome to you all on this chapter 6. Chapter 6, Sankhya Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga system, or it is also known as Dhyana Yoga, meditation process. In the previous chapter, Krishna had given an opportunity to reach devotional service or the highest perfection of remembering Krishna by bhakti, or alternatively also you can come to this process by engaging in Ashtanga Yoga. So that is what mentioned in 5th chapter 27 and 28 slokas. So where Krishna is giving a process of Ashtanga Yoga, Pranayama process by which senses can be controlled. Yoga means, definition is given as Yoga Indriya Samyama, one who is able to regulate his senses by the process of meditation. So this involves 8-stage process, that's why it's called Ashtanga, 8 parts. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. So the first thing is Yama, rules and regulations, do's and don'ts. Yama, Niyama are do's and don'ts and rules and regulations, what to do and what not to do. Asana, one able to sit in a perfect posture. Pranayama, one who is able to regulate his breathing process. Pratyahara, one will be able to start focusing. Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. The perfection in process is able to completely meditate upon the super soul. That is Samadhi. So in this 8-fold yoga system, mystic yoga system, one practices various elements. So in any spiritual path, there are always 2 categories of people. Those who are in the amateur stage, those who are in the professional stage. So Krishna starts this chapter by explaining about the Ashtanga Yoga system, technically called as Dhyana Yoga. It is a mechanical meditative practice meant to control the mind and the senses and focus one's concentration on Super Soul, Paramatma. So after stating the importance of controlling the mind in first few verses, Krishna delineates the process. So he starts with Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti yaha asakto hi acharan karma paramapnoti purushaha. So one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as if he is obligated in the renounced order of life, he is a true mystic, not he who lights the no fire and performs no work. Krishna is clearly discriminating between 2 categories of people. One is artificially people who renounce, and people who practice everything as a process of getting liberated from this world. This artificial renunciation process is where people try to discard everything, saying that if I engage in that, that will oblige me or it will entangle me. But the devotees act in such a way, they engage in all sorts of activities without expecting any fruit of this work, and who works as if he is obligated in the renounced order. Sannyasa manastattva. He is engaging everything with a renounced spirit, not attached spirit. He is in a detached spirit, he is engaging. So for him, there is no obligation. He is free from all the resultants of the work that is coming from. So Krishna is next defining what is sannyasa. Yam sannyasam iti prahuhu yogam tadvidhi pandava nahi asanyasya sankalpa yogi bhavati kaschana. What is called renunciation is also called known as yoga, or the linking oneself with the Supreme. So he is saying sannyasa and yoga are the same terminology with 2 different words. Synonyms he is saying them as. For no one can become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. So for everyone to become advanced in spiritual life, is first thing is we have to become free from desires of sense gratification. This is the primary requirement, requisite. Then he says, in this process there are two stages. Arurukshir muner yogam karma karanamuchyate yoga rudasya tasyaiva shamah karanamuchyate. Those who are in the immature stage, those who are in the beginner stage, they are called as yoga rurukshuho. And those who are in the perfection stage, they are mentioned as yoga ruda. In the initial stage, work is said to be the means, and in the advanced stage, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means. So, means in the beginning stage, he will be engaging in all sorts of activities. So, he has to engage himself so that mind and senses will not get diverted into any other avocation. In the advanced stage, he is able to refrain his mind from material senses and material sense objects. So, this is a clear explanation of the initial stage and the advanced stage. So, who can come to this advanced stage? Krishna says, next, a person who is attained to have this yoga is when having renounced all material desires, he neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities. So, how do you discriminate who is in the initial stage or who is in the advanced stage? So, those who are in the advanced stage are those who have renounced all material desires, and he neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activity. See, every endeavor we are doing in this world comes with a result, and if we try to enjoy that result, that is called fruitive activity. In this process, if we want to take enjoyment to the senses, that is called sense gratification. So, both things one should avoid. So, to come to that stage, what is the prerequisite? One has to control his mind. Mind is the one which will degrade himself from his position. So, a man must elevate himself by his own mind, not degrade himself. The mind is a friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. For one who has controlled his mind, it is his best of his friends. And for one who has not able to control his mind, he is his worst enemy. Like for example, mind gives us hundreds of thoughts. If you don't want to do one subject, it will give you hundreds of thoughts why you should not do it. And if you want to do sometimes, and if your mind is saying no, somebody is forcing upon you, mind will make you rebel. The thoughts all will come up to us. So it will not listen to us sometimes. If you want to practice spirituality, to become advanced in life, one should be able to regulate his mind. One should be able to control his mind properly. It should not divert him in his process. It should support him in his meditation. For example, I want to close my eyes and I want to meditate upon the Lord. I have to focus upon the Lord and his instructions. But if mind is taking me away to a cinema and showing me some cinema or some life incidences or some lovable scenes or all these things, it is diverting me from my meditation, then mind is my real enemy. It is not helping me in my advancement. But if mind is supporting me, mind is encouraging me to meditate upon me, he is my best of my friends. So that is the mention here. So if you have to be advanced in spiritual life, one has to control his mind. And it is said, what is the thing? If one is able to conquer his mind, it is said that already he has done half of the work. He has already reached Paramatma. Jitatmanah prashantasya paramatma samahitaha. One who is able to conquer his mind is already reached Paramatma. Sitoshna sukhadukkeshu tata manapamanayoho. For who has conquered his mind, he is able to see the situations in all equal platform. Sita Ushna. Sita Ushna is heat and cold. Sukha dukkha, happiness and distress. Mana apamanayon, fame and infamy. In all circumstances, in all situations, he is able to equally act. Then, jnana vijnana truptatma kutasto vijitendriyaha yukta iti uchyate yogi samaloshrasma kanchanaha. When he is in that platform, when he is in that equibalanced state of situations and circumstances, then samaloshrasma kanchanaha. He is able to see gold and mud as same. How it is same? Gold is also coming from gold ores only, mines only. Mines is simply mud. From mud you pick up gold and you extract the gold and you discard the mud. What is coming in the process? So everything is coming from earth. Everything has been seen in that platform. So gold has its value. Earth has its value. But since both are emanating inside, so he does not value one too much and he does not devalue another. He is saying everything, the source of everything is one. So in that way he sees everything as that same value perspective. So man is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi when he is fully satisfied by virtue of jnana vijnana trupta atma. When he is fully satisfied by theoretical knowledge, jnana, and vijnana, by practical realization. So when these two things are accomplished, one he is said to be a perfect yogi. And one who has reached that perfect yogi, he is able to see all things as equal. Such a person is situated in transcendence and he is self-controlled. Kutastaha, one who is situated in trance, one who is fixed in his trance. Vijitendriyaha, one who is able to regulate his senses, self-controlled. For him, Samaloshasma Kanchanaha, he sees everything, pebble, stone or gold as the same. So that is his qualification. Then, when you are advanced in that stage, you will be able to see all relationships. Okay, this is Vastu I am seeing, okay. Then there are people, for inert things I am able to say, okay, everything is coming from earth, okay, let me treat them as earth, as same level. But how do I treat relations, interactions with people? So we always come across 10 categories of relationships in this world. Then Krishna explains these 10 relationships. A person is said to be still further advanced when he regards all as same with equal mind. Who are they? A honest well-wisher, a friend, enemy, envious, pious, sinner, and those who are indifferent and impartial with an equal mind. Suhurun, Mitra, Ari, Udasina, Madhyastha, Dveshya, Bandhushu, Sadhushu, Apicha Papeshu. Samabuddhir Vishishyate. When you are able to give equi-mindedness, equal mind to equally, you will be able to treat all these category of people. Okay, friend, you will treat him nicely. Will you treat enemy nicely? Will you treat an envious person nicely? So if you can do all these things in all these people, treat them in a proper way, then we are said to be in the process of perfection of this yoga, further advancement of yoga. Now practical details, what is involved in this yoga process? Krishna next explains about one who is practicing to be a transcendentalist should concentrate his mind on the Supreme Self, should focus his Paramatma, and he should be living in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind, and he should be free from desires and feelings of possessiveness. That is a symbol of renouncement. So what should be his location? He should go to a sanctified place to practice yoga, secluded place, and he should spread kushagras there, then cover it with deer skin and a soft cloth. So because when we are sitting in a forest, some reptiles can come, some ants can come, they might disturb us in our meditation. That's why a deer skin is a natural repellent. So there will be no reptiles or no insects or anything coming there, so that he can continuously engage in meditation. And the seat should be neither too high nor too low. That seat should be of medium size, and it should be situated in a sacred place, Pavitra Sthala. Then yogi should sit on it firmly, and he should practice yoga by controlling the mind and the senses, and thus by this process he purifies his heart and fixes his mind on one point. So how this is possible? He should keep this body, neck and system erect, that back should be erect, and he should close his eyes semi, and he should focus on the tip of the nose, and he should regulate his air flow. He should be unagitated, he has to subdue his mind. He should be devoid of fear, because as soon as I close my eyes, I don't know whether some animal is coming to me or it is going to eat me up, or something is falling on me, or he should be devoid of complete fear. He should be practicing celibacy, brahmacharya, to achieve perfection in this process. And in this process he should completely meditate upon Paramatma within the heart, and he should make him as his ultimate goal of life. And in this endeavor he should regulate manasa, vacha, karmana. So when he is able to regulate in this manasa, vacha, karmana, then the mystic is able to achieve the highest perfection of going back to Vaikuntha. So when he is able to make Paramatma as his focus, Paramatma as his goal, and when he is able to engage manasa, vacha, karmana in the service of Paramatma, then he becomes qualified for going back to Vaikuntha, spiritual world. So in this process, when he is engaging in this Ashtanga Yoga things, there are certain things which he should not do and certain things which he should do. So what are the things which he should not do? One cannot become a yogi if he eats too heavy or if he eats too little. So if we eat too much, we will sleep, or if we eat too little, we become hungry and we cannot focus on meditation. So both things should not be done. And one who sleep too much or sleep too less. If you sleep too much, mind will be in tamoguna, and if you sleep too less, mind will be in disturbed state. So in that way, one should regulate his sleep and one should regulate his eating. Then what he should do? So yukta ahara viharasya yukta chestasya karmasu yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. So for one who wants to be successful in his yoga, he should regulate 4 things: ahara, vihara, chestasa and swapnaha. If he is able to do these 4 things regulated, yukta ichi uchyate yogi. So yogo bhavati dukkha. He is able to achieve perfection and he is becoming free from all material pains. He can mitigate all material pains. Dukkha. He is able to cut dukkha. He is able to finish the dukkha. So what are these things? He should be temperate. He should be regulated in his eating, sleeping, working and recreation. In these 4 categories he should regulate himself. So when he is able to practice that perfectional stage where he disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendental status which is devoid of all material desires, he is said to be have attained that yoga posture. So by following these regulative principles, one should be able to fix his mind on Paramatma with these symptoms. He should be able to discipline his mind. He should be able to completely control his mind and situated in transcendence. He should be able to completely focus on Paramatma future and transcendence, devoid of all sorts of material sense desires. No indriya samtrupti. Everything he should be able to regulate itself. Like just like for example, if you keep a lamp in a windless place, it doesn't waver. So similarly, the mind when it is engaged in Paramatma, it should not waver into any other diversions. If he is able to come to that stage, then his meditation is said to be perfect. So when he is able to perfectly meditate that stage, then he is considered to be in the stage of Samadhi, complete absorption onto the Supreme. So in 3 verses, Krishna glorifies this process. Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyan atmani tushyati sukam atyantikam yattad buddhigrahyam atindriyam vetti yatra na chaivayam stitaschalati tattvataha yam labdva chaparam labam manyate nadikam tataha yasmin stito hi dukkena gurunapi vichalyate tadvidyad dukkha samyoga viyogam yoga samyitam. So Krishna is mentioning this process is the complete absorption onto the Supreme, which is mentioned as Samadhi state, when one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. So in this process, one is able to see the pure self as soul, and by his pure mind, and he is able to relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness. Yet that happiness what we experience is Sukam Athyantikam Yattad Buddhi Grahyam Atendram. It is beyond the senses what can experience it. This is Athyantikam. It is highest happiness. So established thus, one never departs from the truth. Yam labdva chaparam labam manyate nadikam tataha. When he is situated on that stage, he is not disturbed by any difficulties, any facing. It will not disturb him or deviate him from this process. Yasmin sitohi dukkena gurunapi vichalyate. Vichalya means to shake. So if you are engaged in a process, when our faith is shaken, we may not continue in the process. But here, one who is committed in the process, if there is any greatest difficulty also, he is not disturbed from, he is not shaken from the process. That is the commitment what he takes. So this is indeed actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. So that is the highest perfectional stage what one should aspire for. So in this stage, what happens? One should engage himself in the practice of yoga with undeviating determination and faith. Nishchayena yoktavya, sanishchayena yoktavya. Nishchaya means commitment we have taken, determination we have taken. Anirvinna chetasaha, with determination and faith one should be able to engage in this yoga, and one should abandon without exception all material desires born from false ego. See, in this material world, I think I am this body, and all my desires are based on this, I am this body, I have to satisfy this body. These are all false ego perspectives. So we should be free from all the desires which are coming due to this false ego. And we should control the senses from all directions. 5 senses in 5 directions are driving away. This body is like a chariot and 5 senses are like 5 horses. So mind is being carried away by 5 senses in 5 different directions. So one should be able to regulate all the 5 senses and the mind, and he should be able to practice his principles. Then further it says, Shanai Shanai Ruparamed Buddhyadriti Grihitaya Atma Samstha Manah Krutva Na Kinchit Api Chintayasi. So by step, with full conviction, one should situate it by trance, in trance. So he should come to the stage of trance by using his intelligence, and mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. So these are the step-by-step process. By using his intelligence, mind should be regulated and he should be focused only upon the super soul, not on anything else. So whenever there is a distraction, we feel mind is going away. Say I am trying to hear the class and people say my mind is wavering here and there. Teacher says attention, kind attention, means we should bring back the mind into the class. Focus here means we are focusing elsewhere. Body here, mind absent, we say. Body is present here, mind is elsewhere. So like that. So the yogi whose mind is fixed completely on the super soul, he attains highest happiness. Prashanta manasam, he is of the highest happiness. Yoginam sukham uttamam, his mind is having prashanta manasa and sukham uttamam. And he is upayati shanta rajasam. Rajasam means tamoguna, rajoguna and shanta, they are all pacified, all his gunas have been pacified. His passions are quieted. Brahma Bhutam Akalmasham, he is situated on that liberated platform, Brahma Bhuta stage. So in that stage, he is able to see all living entities in an equal platform. He sees everybody as a spirit soul, he does not discriminate with their bodies. According to different karmas, we have received this body, but as a spirit soul, we are all one in nature. That is their true vision of understanding. They do not discriminate by material identification. They see on the spiritual platform everybody as on the spirit soul. So he is able to see everywhere and anywhere. He is able to see the Paramatma's future, and he is able to see in everything Paramatma, or he is able to see in Paramatma everything. So for him, he is never disconnected with the Lord, or Lord is never disconnected with him. That is the highest perfection. And in the next verse, Krishna first time says, I and Paramatma are one and the same. That's why we always say Krishna Paramatma. That is, Paramatma is an expansion of Lord Krishna. We determine him that such a way. Sarva bhuta sitam yo mam bhajati ekatvam asitaha sarvata vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. Krishna is saying that yogi who should know that I and super soul are one and the same, worships me and remains always in me in all circumstances. So by focusing on Paramatma, one is able to connect to Krishna automatically, because that Paramatma future is an expansion of the Lord who has come to assist us in our material world, in all our activities, to guide us and to support us, to encourage us, benefit us in all these means and ways. Lord is supporting us. So and further also says, he who by himself, comparison to his own self, is able to see true equality of all living entities, both in their happiness and distress, is a perfect yogi. Like if I pinch myself, if I am going to experience a pain, if I pinch somebody else, you should be able to see that he is also going to experience that pain. So with my personal perspective, if I am able to see all these things, I am in a perfect situation in comparison to others. So now Arjuna, after hearing all this Astanga Yoga process, he presents a question. He says, this process, whatever you have taught, looks to be impractical to me. I will not be able to focus my mind constantly upon the Lord. And he says, the controlling the mind, what you are saying is very difficult for me. He says, Chanchalam hi manah Krishna Pramati balavad drudam tasyaham nigraham manye vayuriva shudushkaram. He says, this mind is chanchala. Chanchala means one who is wavering, fluctuating. Mind fluctuates like anything. Then it is balavad, and it is obstinate sometimes. It is rugged, obstinate, and it is stubborn, we say, very strong. Drudam. See, in this way, mind exhibits various features: flickering, stubborn, obstinate, very strong, turbulent. All these features mind exhibits. And Arjuna is saying, to control this mind, I can control the wind. He is saying the wind which is invisible, even I can't control the wind, but I cannot control my mind. He is saying mind controlling is practically impossible. Arjuna himself is saying, where in other yogas where everything was practically possible, Arjuna himself is saying this Astanga Yoga process is impractical for me. Even Krishna certifies in the next verse. He says, Asamsayam Mahabaho Mano Durnigraham Chalam. Whatever you said is correct, Arjuna. It is very difficult to control the mind. But Abhyasena tu yukteya Vairagyena cha grihyate. By practice and by detachment, one will be able to control his mind. So Krishna is saying, by practice and by detachment, one can regulate his mind. So process is very important. Practice. That's why we are encouraged to engage in Bhakti Yoga process, which will help us in regulation of this mind. And Krishna says, for one who mind is uncontrolled, self-realization is a difficult task. But for one who has controlled his mind, who strives by right means is assured of success. This is my opinion. This is Krishna's opinion. So if you are able to regulate your mind for you, then you are successful in your endeavor. For one who is not able to control his mind, he is failed in his endeavor of self-realization. Then now Arjuna puts forward one more question. He says, this practically one endeavors to do perfection in this world. So to achieve perfection, we are trying to renounce this world partially. So he is not enjoying anything here. If he has not achieved perfection, so he is not able to enjoy in the future life also. So the present life also he has not enjoyed because he is trying to renounce everything for your perfection to achieve you. And if he has not achieved you in the process, he is not able to enjoy in the next life also. What is his situation? So how is he going to survive? What is his process? Because whatever I have done in this endeavor, whatever I have done in this life, is it a waste of endeavor? Because not everybody becomes successful in yoga. So Arjuna is recommending. So what is the process? What is the status of a person who has fallen down from this yoga process? Yoga prashtaha. What is his situation? So Krishna is recommending. Partha naiveha namutra vinashas tasya vidyate. Now vinasha is not to that person who has enjoyed. There is no vinasha. And it is kalyanakrit. And it is most auspicious activity. Durgatim tat gacchati. And he never overcome by evil. He will not achieve any durgati. So those who are engaged in this bhakti process, for them there is no means of failure. There is no chance of failure. So how he is successful? What is his process? Krishna says. So earlier we said two stages of people. Those who have fallen in the initial stage and those who have fallen in the advanced stage. So if you have fallen in the initial stage, what happens? It says, Suchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Brashto Vijayate. For who has fallen from this yoga Brashtaha, he becomes Suchinam Shrimatam. He takes birth in a rich family or he takes birth in a Sampradaya family, cultural family. So from there he will be able to start from the point for him as an opportunity is given. Or if he is in the advanced stage, if he has fallen, then it says, Atava Yoginam Yeva Kule Bhavati Dhimatam. Etadhi Durlabhataram Loke Janma Idarsham. He takes birth in the family of devotees, where from his childhood he is able to practice his bhakti in a complete guidance of the devotees. So he is that verily that birth is very rare, Krishna is saying. So there are two categories of people, those who have fallen in the initial stage or those who have fallen in the advanced stage. In the initial stage they take birth in the family of a rich man or in the family of a Brahmana, where they will be given an opportunity to continue. But in the advanced stage, if he has fallen, he will be given an opportunity to take birth in the family of Vaishnavas, in the family of devotees, where from their childhood they will be able to engage in bhakti process. Because both mother and father are devotees, he will be given an opportunity to practice in bhakti from the day one. Even from his birth, before his birth also, he will be able to enjoy prasadam and he will be able to nourish himself into the spiritual life. So I have fallen down. How do I know where to start from? Last life, where did I finish? How do I know? Krishna is saying, Tattartam buddhi samyogam labate purva dehikam. You will start from the point where you have left in the last life. No problem. You will be able to know. You will be able to come to that point once you come to the situation. As right time comes, you will start from the point where you have left in the last life. Like for example, in this life we study MA. In the next life I will say, no, I will start from MA and I will do PhD. No, you have to start from LKG. Is it something like this? No. Krishna is saying, in this life you do 20%, next life you will start from 21st%. Like whatever we do, all these activities are at the soul level. Since soul has neither birth and death, all these activities at the soul level are permanent in nature. Any other activity we do is in bodily level. So because body is impermanent in nature, whatever we do is at the bodily level. Everything will be finished with this body. We come empty-handed, we go empty-handed. So we don't carry anything. So in that way, so whatever we do at the soul level, we carry everything. That is like a permanent account. So when we are able to access our account once again, so we will be able to start from the point where we have left in the last life. So how do I know where to start? How do practically I know how do I be able to get connected to that subject? Krishna is saying, Purvabhyasena tenaiva hriyatohi avashohi saha. Naturally he will have that inclinations and he will be automatically pulled in that direction. He need not do any separate endeavor for this. So he will naturally get carried away by that attractions. Purva abhyasana. So we will also see, is your past life habits or what? Like that we also say, Purva Janma Krutaparadam. Because of our past life, we will be able to have some habits. So Purva Janma Vasana we say. All these vasanas are all which are coming from our past life. So sometimes we have that vasanas. So that feelings and carried over situations. All these things we will be able to enjoy So in this process, prayatnad yatamanastu yogi samshuddha kilbishaha. In this process, yogi is becoming free from all the unwanted things, and he's getting freed from all the material contaminations and unwanted things. But for him to become perfect, aneka janma samsiddhihi. To achieve that samsiddhi perfection, he has to go in many lifetimes. So this is the impractical process about Ashtanga Yoga system Krishna is trying to certify. So Ashtanga Yoga is also a process. In compared to Bhakti, this is like you are going for a straight road. Ashtanga Yoga process is like a ring road. It takes 20 kilometers more to reach the same destination. So this is like more time it will take. Aneka janma samsiddhi. If you have to achieve perfection, it takes a long time for you. This is what is being communicated here. So the impracticality of Ashtanga Yoga system, Krishna communicates here. And finally, he gives the conclusion. Till now, he taught about Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. Now, Krishna is saying, the conclusion of all the 6 chapters, he is saying, Tapasvibhyo adhiko yogi. Become that yogi who is better than a tapasvi. Jnanibhyopi mato adhikaha, who is better than a jnani. Karmibhyascha adhiko yogi, who is better than a karmi. Tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. Become that yogi who is better than a karmi, who is better than a jnani, who is better than a tapasvi, ascetic. So who is that yogi who is able to better than all these categories of people? He is yoginam api sarvesham. Of all the categories of yogis, he is the best. Who is that person? Madgatena antaratmanaha. Who is able to always think of me within the core of his heart. Shraddhavan, one who is faithfully engaged in this process. Bhajate Yoman, one who is engaged faithfully in devotion service unto me. Same Yukta Tamo Mataha. He is the best of the all yogis, who is able to always think of me in all times, all circumstances, and who is able to focus upon me with faith and engaged in devotion service. He is the best of that yogis. Oh Arjuna, become that yogi is the recommendation of Lord Krishna to Arjuna of this first 6 chapters of Karma Yoga system which Krishna had described in this Bhagavad Gita. So in conclusion, Krishna is saying you should become a devotee by engaging in devotional service. This Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga process are impractical for us. Only Bhakti is the practical process with no limitations. That is what the suggestion, what Krishna had suggested us here. So we'll stop here. So this is an opportunity for all of us to understand the importance of Bhakti, how Krishna is stressing everywhere in Bhagavad Gita. So we'll try to understand more about these Bhakti aspects in the next 6 chapters, which is specifically addressed as Bhakti Yoga project itself. So, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.